It's becoming somewhat of a burden now. If I knew how to stop it, I would, but the truth is, I'm tired, I'm lonely, and it was not at all what I thought, all those years ago. I would take anything over this. My earliest memory, I suppose, was my home. Bustling with life, joy, and people. A marketplace, flushed in colors in the spring and flushed with flame in the winter of the fire pits we lit to cook and tell stories around. We kept everyone warm, in those winters. The Xenia of the Greeks taught us to be hospitable to anyone, in fear of them being the gods, but we were kind out of the love of one another we held so dear. Many will tell you that a society like mine was savage, brutal, and tough, but it was far from it. Until it flipped upside down overnight. We stopped seeing one another. Our cats and dogs were slaughtered in the streets, laid to rest alongside corpses we recognized mostly. My parents were among them, covered in boils and blood that was not their own. I remember how it felt, a hot, throbbing sensation in my bones. The swellings, the vomiting. I think that was the first time I died. And it was not the prettiest of my many deaths, but it is the one I remember the best. I'll spare you the details and move on. Silly, isn't it? There were so many rumors about us then. We killed children, we ate children, and we were thieves. We got so hungry sometimes that I debated killing and eating Danish, an especially dumb new recruit that had been left under our care. But I didn't. The infections of his wounds would take him soon enough, anyways. I survived that one, which I regret. I know what you're thinking. You regret surviving a war, one fought to keep control over a colony that, by how it's now looking over there, should never have been given independence in the first place? Well, I've found that when I die, I remember less of that life. Apart from my home and family, the lives I have lived that I died during seem to fade into the background. Sometimes I debate if they are real or not, or if I'm just making it up. But I'm not. I have far too much proof for that to be a possibility. Anyways, were we? Right. Jack the Ripper. Famous murderer, debatably the most famous in history. People say he was likely violent and insane. Yes? No, he played cricket. Misconceptions about that man have always stunned me, especially the debate over his identity. If people looked at the facts, it's incredibly clear that Monty was the only character fitting the crimes. He was very fond of biscuits. Small details, eh?
Then another soldier, or, rather, a medic. This one I did not survive. History books I have seen and read do not over-exaggerate the horrors of those trenches. I have seen things no man should ever have seen: craters, filled with water so dirty and filled with human remains and waste that those who fell into them came out and died of sepsis hours later. Men, crushed under towers of other bodies, moaning for help, relief, even death. I remember one man, a German, the opposition mumbling mutter, over and over as I tried my best to help him. There wasn't much I could have done. He cradled his own guts in his arms as his actual mother would have cradled him as a child. His face, he was young. Maybe 15, 16 at the very most. He was still a child. He died at my hands, a mercy shot, in between the eyes. At least he passed with the belief that his mother was there for him, in his last moments, even thousands of miles away from home. I hope he's at peace. My death? Nothing special. The ordeal with the Germans led my captain to believe that I was in cahoots with them, in some way. They forced me over the top of the side of the trench and left me there, stumbling over no man's land to die. Not the most exciting of my deaths, but still memorable. Have you ever been shot? Compared to the Black Death, it's quite pleasant, actually. After that, I didn't do very much. I moved to France and became a regular cabaret show performer. Lived on wine and cigarettes. They were my best days, filled with the hedonism of a life I wish I had lived only once. We did what we wanted to sleep all day, and messed around in the evenings. I think I was hungover more than I was sober, back then, or on a come down from a cocktail of drugs I had to treat myself to on the night before. Yes, I did have affairs with men who adored me. Homosexuality in those clubs was more common than opium. I loved many men, even if it was only with my head instead of my heart. Then the Second Great War happened, and I hid. Like a coward, I ran back to the United Kingdom, specifically to England, I think York, when I first saw the signs of something gruesome on the horizon. Once the war had blown over, I left for America. Lived a mundane life until the 60s, where I indulged again in the hedonism of that smoky little club in Paris. I saw Wall Street crash, you know. Saw it happen. I was there when the faces of all of those men dropped as if they had not seen this coming a mile away. When they saw their money disappear. Lots of things do change. Human greed is not one of those things.
Woodstock of 1969 was a blast. I don't remember it fully, but I do remember the mud. The tiredness, the attitude those who went had. Hungover? Get drunk. Or high. You won't even feel it. Not my proudest moment, but I found myself amongst the casualties thanks to a particularly hard knock to the head after I fell over. A knock? Sorry, more like I was impaled. Never leave tent poles just sticking out of the ground like that, for my sake and the sake of everyone around you. It wasn't a quick death. After that, I got bored. I settled down. I haven't moved places in years. I'm still 19 and a half. That doesn't change. Neither does my hair. I can cut it, but it does not grow back. Same with my nails, which I have chewed down to nothing. I have noticed, however, small scars. The wounds that are fatal to me leave small, faint scars. I have hundreds. I have died hundreds of times, after lives I do not remember. I have seen horrors, both great wars, Bedlam Asylum, murders and betrayals, heartbreaks. But I have seen good, too. That's one thing you never lose, as humans. Am I still human? I think part of me is. But you never lose hope. That never changes, and it's something I do admire. Why am I telling you this? I don't know. Living forever just gets so boring. And very tiring. Thank God for modern energy drinks, otherwise, I believe I'd be sleeping forever instead of living. Think of this as a small insight into my life. Either way, I've lived far too long. Thank you for listening to what I have to confess.